Hey, today I wanted to talk about a specific novel and I guess a little bit about the type, the type of novel or subgenre of it is the novel called My Life Can Be Infinitely Simulated. I've read this like a few days ago. Like I got to it and I went through the whole thing basically as fast as I could. And not because I was like speed reading it or anything. I didn't skip this time because it's a relatively short novel. It comes out at least in this separation of chapters. It comes out to 432, which is like a short one basically. And I don't know if it can be spoiler free or anything, but let's just get to it. So this one is a life. Obviously, from the title, you know that it's a the life simulation type of novel where you go at it, where the main character gets a basically life simulator, and then depending on the novel, there are various rules on how it works. But basically, you simulate your life from that point onward, and then when you die, you can not only this specific novel, but in other novels as well, you can but here specifically you can choose between your strength or like a martial realm strength or here is like I'm not entirely. It's not always like a clean cut separation between the second and the third one. Second is your specific technique, martial technique experience, but I mean that includes the fights that you went through in the simulation, and then the third one is like other information that's like not like specific, not specifically the fights, but in many cases when the simulation ends because the character died to someone, but not necessarily like straight up as a result of a fight. Honestly, I'm not very clear on explaining it, but I feel like it's not entirely clean in the novel either. Like sometimes like the second and the third blur into each other, but the main scenario is basically anytime the main character gets to a point where he jumped a level in the simulation. He takes that obviously, so he can become stronger. But yeah, I mean, it's probably considered a spoiler here. But the main reason, aside from the fact that it's a short one, and I can keep it in my mind, is that this is a very hardcore. By hardcore, I mean that the dude does not get a break, like at all. Like there are other life simulation novels where you can, you know, you basically have obviously fights, but other experiences, meeting people and whatnot through that, and the simulation is basically just trying to figure out which path leads forward to to the furthest, basically like going to the top. So you get an obstacle that you fail at or fail to in the simulation, and then you try to figure out in reality where you go. But and then depending on the novel, there's like a balance of real life and simulation. But here, guy does not get a break. Like it's very early on established that just the entire world has it out for him. Basically, the whole novel is just you simulate and then there's someone comes in like two levels above and then you die. And then the novel is basically about okay, that is like this one like deadline basically, and then you die, and then you try to find a way, you're trying to find the line that gives you like the most amount of strength and advancement that you can take from the simulation into real life. But there is just like it's very funny that the synopsis has these examples. I'm just gonna go through the synopsis and I'm gonna talk about it, I think. And yeah, I'm not even gonna try to pronounce the name because there is a way like character names and whatnot. I read them and there's a certain way that I like quote unquote pronounce in my head, but I never really like check if that's in like a correct pronunciation or anything. Anyway, the synopsis is that main character name, you see, crossed over to high martial world, eked out a living in small village for 2 years, and finally saved up enough and activated the life simulator system. With a certain amount of money, a simulation can be run. After the simulation ends, one of three can be retained: realm, martial arts skills, or life wisdom. And that's what I was talking about, that martial arts skills and life wisdom like sometimes overlaps. And here it goes. Uh, One simulation goes like for 5 years where you were an accountant, saved up enough money to buy a cultivation manual, practiced hard for 10 years and became a ninth realm martial artist, but then ran into an enemy and died. Another simulation. Once you left the mountains, you were at the ninth rank, became a protector of a certain family, practiced intensely for 20 years, broke to the 8th grade, and ultimately died of old age in a small town. Another simulation. Once you left the mountains, you were at 8th grade, received recognition from a noble clan, were taught profound martial arts, but due to slow progress, were marginalized. After a dozen years, you finally broke through to the 7th grade, but then encountered powerful foes on a mission and were killed. And then dot dot dot. After countless rounds of simulation, you encounter people, but none are a match for you. You realize that you have become invincible. And that's the synopsis basically. And it's what I find really funny. There is this one, like out of the three, there is one that is like ultimately died of old age in a small town. I don't want to exaggerate, but I think in the entire novel there is like one time, one. Okay, like I can at least one do. I might be like missing one or two, but I'm pretty confident that I can count it on one hand. The number of times that the guy actually lives to die of old age. It's like running out of time. Most of the time, and I mean like 99% of the time, there's a very very strong enemy, like multiple realms above him, and he dies. And then now that I'm going into spoilers anyway, at later stages, there's basically a calamity, and it's like there is a certain date where it's like a light came down from the sky and you died, and this happens like 20 or 30 times. Okay, maybe 20. Yeah, like simulation after simulation. He's basically just trying to find a way that he gets to live a little bit longer, be a little bit stronger. Obviously, it's it's uh it's the reason why I like it, but I also don't like it. It's basically the same reason. And I wanna. So this is basically, I think, the situation when there is like a realistic way of how you would assume things to play out, given a certain type of novel, and then like, I think that this is one. And there's another example that I have for a different type or subgenre of novels. There is a same situation. So basically, yeah, this is what you would kind of expect, but as a from a reading or enjoyment or immersion perspective, it feels a little bit hard to read, like a bit stifling to read sometimes, because it just doesn't catch a break. And obviously, you have the simulations where it's just dying over and over and over again, but obviously he gets to get stronger, and then in reality it's basically smooth sailing, and he just goes through so many realms in so short amount of time that no one is able to figure out how the heck is he able to do that. And no one really knows. No one has any idea, because it's just not. Yeah, it's not it doesn't look very feasible, but at the same time he has to, because because he would die like infinite amount of times. Like that's what I find like kind of stifling about it. That it's not like there is a reality and then there are obstacles and then you overcome them through seeing it in the simulation, and then a mix of that is just there is no way that he would be able to live by like live without the simulation. Just the bird has it out for him so much that it's just not even possible. It would not be possible for him to stay alive. But okay, there is obviously a reason for that, right? Like there is a connection between the two. Like I'm saying that he would not live without the simulator, but the whole reason that the world has it out for him is that he has the capability with the simulator to shake things up so much that he's not liked by the world. Let's just say that. And obviously, in the meantime, there are a lot of ladies that he like not intentionally necessarily picks up. It's just you know basically through actions because he just sees the situations through the simulation and then knows when he needs to be there and how strong he needs to be able to overcome that situation, and through that saves a bunch of people who obviously end up with him in a sense because someone saves your life and then also it seemingly gets stronger in an insanely short amount of time. Obviously, that will be very very attractive to people. But at the same time, the world has it out for him, so he's not really gonna have the easy time, and basically not much downtime really. I think like there's like 1 week of chill in the entire novel, when he basically has his whole family. Let's go with that word because there are more like demeaning ways of talking about this this tag or this genre. I'm talking about harem, basically, right? Like I'm talking about that. But also, that never really, gets to well do anything because yeah, by by the time he has like a little bit of chill, which is basically like that 1 week, he's uh he's too strong, basically. Like he's just too strong, so they can't really do anything, so they just chill. And then at the end there's a time skip, and then it turns out it kept happening. Like it was just basically the same thing after a certain point, after he gets a certain strength. It's just the same thing, and then the ending is that he got to whatever level, and then he's like, okay, we're gonna have to fight even stronger beings. Like, okay, yeah. And I don't really know if they really got anywhere on like a more physical level with the ladies. Uh, but yeah, never really had the opportunity. So it's not like it's necessarily it's a shortcoming or whatever the fault of the character itself or himself, because the word just doesn't give him a break. But as a reading experience, it can be a bit stifling. Like there are those atmospheric things, that you find in novels, right? When you just chill in a tavern or whatnot, and then obviously things happen, and then the plot moves along. But here it's just fighting for their lives nonstop. Which I mean, again, is why what I'm saying is that it's a reasonable progression of the story. considering the live simulations, but it's just I feel like I would have liked if it was there was more like overcoming of difficulties like in real life. But that I guess that would then basically lose the simulation aspect of it. I'm not saying there's none. I think like there's like a one or two situation maybe when he's like he didn't find the right way in the simulation or basic that was anything like one time where there was something something happened in reality that didn't happen in the simulation, and then that led to a basically a better outcome. But it's not something that was already, oh, I know this is gonna happen, so this I have to do this, so I can make this happen. That kind of situation. And I think like that it could if if this type of novel would have like a bit better balance between the two. There are other life simulation novels that I've read. And they have like different feel or different balance, different mix of the two. But this one is like full on simulation. Like you just cannot catch a break. The world wants to kill him. Everyone wants to kill him, or like mostly everyone wants to kill him. There are a few people who help him at times, but yeah, it's a bit exhausting at times to read this insane power curve. It's not like, oh, you got stronger and you can like take a breather or whatnot. Nope. There's the next one, and then the whole typical situation, you know, when you like there's like a servant of. I'm not saying that it happened exactly like this, but there's a servant, for example, the trope, right? There's some, and then and then oh who are you? How dare you look at me or look at my young master or whatnot? And then the zero tries to kill the main character, and the main character kills them, and then then young master comes, and then the young master, and then his father and his grandfather and great grandfather, and then the ancestor, and then there's another bigger family who is like, you know the trope, and it just basically keeps going. And it's in some ways, yeah, I do get that. Like there's an aspect of, okay, we can't let others mess with us, because then face and the what would the family do if we would let anyone walk over us? And like I get that part, but at the same time, there's so many of these when this trope is present to a high degree that I cannot imagine the world to even be uh, existing at that point. Because if the world operates like that, then that isn't really like everyone would just kill each other even before the main character got there. Okay, that is like not entirely true, because you can say that they have operated on this principle, and and no one was just really like strong enough to grow fast enough for them to actually get punished for it or get any consequences. And I mean that is something that I can roll with, or I can go with, if that specific trope is held back to a manageable degree. But that with this here, because of the word, like there are basically situations when people just have like almost irrational urge to basically kill the main character, because I guess the world doesn't want him to live, because he would make too much of a mess. That's basically it. So yeah, no, I mean I ended up diverting from the novel quite a lot, but when I basically I started reading, I was halfway through, and I'm thinking, okay, this I could like yap about a little bit, because obviously I've read a bunch of novels, like web novels and whatnot, but I started reading, and then I catch up to whatever we are currently with translation, and then sometimes if I'm really interested in it, I look for the actual raws, and then try to Google Translate my way through it a little bit. But yeah, eventually I get to a point where I'm like, okay, this is too tiresome, and then I stop it, and then I forget about it, and then I come back weeks, months, years later, and then I have to figure out where I actually was, because by then it faded in my memories. And this one was something that is like relatively short and relatively fresh. But yeah, one aspect that I wanted to talk about it, and then that will be it, is that the there is a great potential in a way in these life simulation novels, and which is used and lived up to that potential quite a bit, is that you basically have a somewhat unique opportunity to for character building, but obviously not. It's not entirely the same. But so what I want to talk about is that based on the different simulations and different basically timelines that you go down, you can see how certain characters behave, and then that can inform you about who is really trustworthy and who is like a fair weather friend, and you can see in different situations. So what I'm trying to get at is that even though in reality there might not be much character building for that certain character, and don't the main character doesn't get to know them really well, they can still make bonds with them based on seeing how reliable they are in the simulations. But but then it ends up like a little bit of a lopsided relation as well, because it's not they are yeah they it's not them that actually did those things in the simulation, and that does come up through simulation, is that if like is the whole is it right to reward or punish someone based on something that you know that they have the capability and the possibility of doing, but they did not do yet. They haven't done yet. For example, there is a lady that like like first two simulations, or like in like two out of the first three, something like that. They end up killing the main character in the simulation, and that's how the simulation ends. But then, as time goes along, right? It turns out it's not that they have like a high chance of killing the protagonist, because later down the line in many simulations, they actually stand with the protagonist. So, and it's a good thing that it's not an instant decision based on what the main character has seen in the simulation. But but yeah, in but if you look at the reality, like the real timeline, is that you basically have kind of like unearned. I don't even know. It's just I'm struggling to quantify like how I should treat character development in simulation, because it's there, and the protagonist knows about it, and he can treat it as something that is real, but it's not actually real. And the characters itself who they do something in the simulation, they don't know about it. So there's like a weird detachment between between the characters in reality and the characters in simulation. But it's a nice way of trying to actually give some character development that you might not have the chance in the real timeline, because you just don't have the time, because most of it is simulation. Yeah, I mean, I do enjoy this type of novel sometimes, but I feel like after this one, I felt like, okay, I need something that's not this. I need something now where things like actually happen, because yeah, it is overcoming challenges, but not quite. It doesn't really hit that highs in it, because no matter what happens, and you can say that about every novel, like no matter what happens, you know that things will somehow work out, because otherwise the novel itself would not exist, because you wouldn't really write a novel about someone who just, okay, goes through like 200 chapters and it just dies. And yeah, it's like you're not expecting a main character switch or anything, so you know that things will work out. But yeah, here I feel like there never really was a point where he had to deal with loss in any way. Maybe that, I don't know, because he has lost people in the simulations, but then he was always able to avoid that in the simulation. Well, I mean, in reality. And yeah, he was just able to save everyone and be strong to do everything. And I'm not necessarily saying that's a bad thing, and that's the main point of doing this type of novel in the first place. But I don't know. I feel like there's an aspect of the character that's like missing, or that emotion, dealing with loss, or dealing with something that, like, even though you have this not infinite, but many opportunities to simulate your life, simulate a life. You are not omnipotent. You can't save everyone and can't deal with everything. But I mean, here he kind of can. He just he the, everything is against him, but somehow he's able to save everyone he wants to save, and be there in time, just in time for everything he wants to be there on time for. So it's a bit it's a bit weird. It's a bit weird in that regard. It just depends on what the writer wants to do with the character, with the story. And then the end is, yeah, at the end it's basically just like some very very strong what is it, Tao of Time, something like that. That's the that's what it ends up being, like the whole simulator thing. And then basically at the end it's just, oh, you got when he got to this strength, he just had full control over the entire thing. And yeah, I mean, it is quite like I think it's a sad, like, as satisfying as a sudden ending like this can be, or a huge time skip ending can be. Because I mean, it's good enough. I mean, it's a good enough source for the simulation. But at the same time, it's not It's not as emotionally intense or satisfying as I would like at points, but it is what it is. There are a lot worse endings out there, and the time skip is like it's reasonable because you know what's happening. It's not like there was like a huge change. It's just he's probably kept dying all the time in this simulation, and then he's found the right way forward, and then he's gonna keep doing that after the events of the novel. Yeah. Okay. Lot of tangents, lot of extra yapping, but I hope that there is something that was worth talking about in this video. Yeah, not not nearly as concise and understandable as I would have liked, but I mean that's what you get for not preparing for anything. But this is these novels and like reading in general, something that I have a lot of ideas or things that I want to talk about, and hopefully this is the first of many. And yeah, okay, bye.